Incoming bracket!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is, of course, my review for the 2021 coming-of-age drama film, which is, of course, Belfast. Belfast is a film that, I'm not going to lie, I saw the trailer several times, but I would tune out every single time I would see the trailer. I would go on my phone, not because I wasn't engaged or interested in the trailer itself, but because as soon as it would come up, I would say, I know I'm going to watch it. It's going to be an Oscar buzz type movie, so I'm going to watch it. So let me go into it knowing as little as possible, which I did. And of course, sure enough, I start to hear a lot of drum roll for Oscar attention and everything, and I've seen a lot of people say, will it win Best Picture at the Oscars, or will it get nominated for Best Picture? And I'm like, okay, well, all right, let's see what this movie is. And of course, it got a lot of critical acclaim, so I was kind of wondering to myself, okay, is this going to be one of those movies where I'm like, yes, or am I going to be like, it is okay, I guess. And I have to say, right off the bat, this movie was wonderful to watch. It is by no means a perfect movie, but for 98 minutes, I can honestly say it was great. It was a really, really good experience. I felt like I was transported to the 1960s in Belfast. You know, you get the really, 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 really three-dimensional aspect ratio of this movie. And by that, I mean that you really get to understand everything that's going on. But from the mindset of a kid, keep in mind, because obviously the perspective is from Jude Hill's character. Jude Hill is obviously the little kid in this movie, and he's fantastic. I have to say, a lot of times child actors might not be the best per se, but Jude Hill definitely has a future in acting. He is excellent in this movie, and we follow him, and through him, we get to know the other characters. Obviously, there's some times where he's not around, and we get to know them not as much on a fly on the wall per se, but in terms of like when we do see like him, you know, listening into other conversations and everything, it's interesting because through that, we get to understand these characters through him. And I liked that. I especially like his parents, Caitriona Balfe and Jamie Dornan. You get an understanding on what's going on, obviously with finances and everything, as well as obviously the distance and everything. So you get that understanding. And I liked that contrasted with obviously the grandparents, Jude Hill's grandparents, because with them you have Judi Dench and Ciarán Hinds, and obviously they're excellent. But together, oh my goodness, they have amazing chemistry. But I love the contrast between those two because they are more like upbeat, they're more humorous. They provide a lot of humor in this movie, not gonna lie, but it works really, really well. But you get that contrast of those, you know, humorous, you know, obviously happy-go-lucky versus obviously the parents. They're obviously dealing with 1960s Belfast on a more personal level. By that, it's like obviously grandparents aren't going to have that discussion of where it's like, oh, are we going to fight and everything? It's like, no, because a lot of people understand that they're a lot older, but it's like Jamie Dornan's character, it's like, no, he's in his like late 30s, so it's like, he can fight. So it's obviously there's that turmoil of like, well, is he going to, is he not? And I liked that. I really do like the contrast between those two couples, and I think that it makes for a more fully fleshed out family. And that's the thing. This family feels very much so like populated. It feels like you are there watching a real family, not actors, you know, obviously messing with the dialogue and everything. Which, by the way, the dialogue, excellent. It's excellent. There's a lot of scenes where obviously there's a lot of dialogue, but it makes for a very engaging viewing because we as audience members are kind of, you know, not only taking in the imagery, but also taking in this dialogue that, again, feels very naturalistic. Which, by the way, speaking of the imagery, holy cow, let's talk about that cinematography. I love the cinematography in this movie. Definitely will get an Oscar nomination, possibly a win. There's just a lot to study for the cinematography. Like, I will use one scene as an example, and that's the opening scene. The camera's panning up, it goes from color to black and white, and then, you know, it's a long take, it's moving around, so that way we get an understanding of the setting, which, by the way, the setting feels like a character in itself, but we get an understanding of the character, the people that's going on. It's very smooth, very elegant, and then we cut. The one take gets broken, and sure enough, handheld camera work gets utilized. And the handheld camera work is obviously during a riot. It's to show the tranquility as opposed to obviously that really, honestly, underbelly coming to life, which is that, you know, the riots are coming and everything. And I really liked the usage of the shaky camera versus obviously the smooth camera work to really almost feel like a character in itself. Black and white cinematography is great. Camera movement, as I mentioned, is really good. Lighting is excellent. This is a movie that I don't know if it's going to get a 4K release. I hope it does. If it does, I mean, holy cow, this is going to be definitely a possible, I say definite, but depending on the price, it will be a day one purchase for sure in 4K. It's too excellent looking to not buy on physical media. The score is very jazz-esque almost. It's not really too noticeable, but it works. And I also like, again, the slice of life approach where it's like, you know, it's the life of a family. And it's like, you really get invested early on. If you don't necessarily, then, I mean, you might not like the movie as a whole. But for me, I really did like how there was the underbelly of all the serious themes and everything. And then at the forefront, you have a coming-of-age story that is very engaging and at the same time, very surprisingly funny. So for me, Belfast, it's pretty much flawless. My only issues really kind of fall that there are some instances where I did feel like the pacing was a bit slack. In addition to that, the themes and messages, although I did like them, I felt like there were a couple things here or there I kind of wish that they fleshed out a bit more. But I also counter that and say to myself, yeah, but again, the movie's mostly from the perspective of a kid, so it makes sense why that's not fully fleshed out. But nonetheless, Belfast, I would definitely recommend this movie. It is one of the best films I've seen of the year so far. Obviously, it's November, so we still have another month or so with all those Oscar movies drumming up as well. But Belfast, it's definitely worth your time. And for me personally, I'll be giving Belfast a 4.5 out of 5-star rating, which, if there's like a hot sauce rating, gives the good old Tabasco sauce rating. So, yeah, would definitely recommend you guys check out Belfast. And if you've done so already, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know down below. And as always, look for the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.